Okay. Let's make sure we're all unmuted this time.
Was one of us not unmuted?
No, but you know how many times going back and redoing like putting the podcast out that I find that I have to go in and find the recording of all of us and splice them together because we missed openings and stuff.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, it's not fun. Not fun.
No.
0 out of 10. Do not recommend. But yeah. Shall we begin, gentlemen?
Let's.
Do I have
sure.
Do I have a Doc Brown impression in me or not? That's the question.
Yes, of course you do. I believe in you.
Not now. I'll get that later.
Gotta work up to it.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I am Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And each week we make each other watch movies one of us has never seen. But there's a twist this week. Great Scott!
Good. There was.
Yeah. This week and next week, this week we're celebrating Devon's birthday and breaking format of the show a little bit and he had us watch something that he just wanted to make us watch for shits and giggles. And that film, Devon, was
Back to the Future 2.
Yes, the film where the historical events we lived through after the movie came out. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show. Before we get into that, we like to talk about things in pop culture that we've watched over the last week or so, just to touch base on things that we probably won't get to on the show right away, but just some exciting things that have happened. The first of which I'm surprised Devon didn't know about, but I watched the Abbott Elementary and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crossover episode.
I was so shocked to hear this was a thing.
This was a thing that aired on ABC. Like
Isn't Sunny on FX?
Yes.
Oh.
What's the common denominator there, Devon?
Danny DeVito.
No.
Disney?
Disney.
Ah, gross.
Yeah.
Corporate synergy.
I can't remember the last time we had different shows like from different networks cross over like this. The only thing I could think of is like when The Flash crossed over with Supergirl, because there's a CW CBS crossover, but they were both kind of like they were both DC, so it kind of worked. But this is like the first time sitcoms have crossed over in a while that I can remember.
Did Brooklyn Nine-Nine and New Girl crossover?
They did, yes.
I think that's like the last one I can think of.
Yeah. Have you guys watched any of Abbott Elementary?
No.
No.
Okay. Have you guys watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
All of it. I devour it.
Flips and pieces.
Okay.
Not enough, Ryan.
I will say that you do. I will say you do not have to watch Abbott Elementary to appreciate this crossover.
Okay, good.
I recommend Abbott Elementary because it is just funny. Mm-hmm. It's great writing, great cast. They do a really good job of giving each character their due from It's Always Sunny.
Oh, cool.
And they're like they're not swearing and stuff, and they can't do as much stuff as they do on FX, but you get the point. And I have some exciting news for you, Devon.
What?
This is only part one of a crossover. There's going to be a second crossover where the Abbott characters show up on It's Always Sunny.
Ah, that's so cool.
To the point where Quinta Bronson, who created Abbott Elementary, has gone out and said, like, fans of our show don't have to know what It's Always Sunny is to appreciate the crossover. It's still fun. It stands on its own. Fans of our show don't need to watch the Always Sunny episode that we're on because it's not going to be your cup of tea.
That makes me love it.
Yes.
That makes me really love it.
So I'm really excited for that. Highly recommend Abbott Elementary if you guys are looking for a new sitcom. It's a mockumentary type thing. So if you like The Office, it's The Office, Parks and Rec in a elementary school in Philadelphia. So.
Oh, okay. That's how they're crossing over, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want. Abbott Elementary is one of those shows that has always been recommended to me by every one of my teacher friends. And I've always kind of filed that off as like, I am not a teacher. I will not understand the humor in this. It's not going to hit home as hard for me. I will watch that later. Alan, you are in the school system. Do you agree with my assessment of that, or is it funny regardless of like your experience?
The funnier things are just the teachers in the break room.
Okay.
Like
great.
some of the funnier bits. Like there's a bit where this one teacher always gets the name of actors wrong. Like she thinks she's talking about an African American actor, but she says like Haley Joel Osment. Like, but she's talking about somebody else. Like,
okay. I like that.
those are the in the cutaways with the teachers. Like it's not so much about the in the classroom stuff. What I find funniest is the outside of the classroom stuff. Like the teachers interacting with each other, their principal who is insane. And the janitor, Mr. Johnson's the best. And they do that thing where crossover episodes do, where they team characters up. And the fact that they teamed up Mr. Johnson with Frank is like the perfect combination.
I love it.
So, but
does Frank pop naked, oiled out of a couch in this?
No.
Darn. That's what we come to expect from our Frank.
I'm sorry. Taking things from Philadelphia to the other side of Pennsylvania, Ryan, what did you watch?
I watched Pitt. I watched the first 2 episodes of it. It's basically, I don't know if it is officially or not, but I'm seeing it as like a sequel to ER. It
I have the
shares
answer
an
to that.
actor. Yeah. It shares an actor, it shares a writer, and it shares a producer with the ER series. And it is just like any other successful medical show. They don't dumb anything down. They run through their day. And it's just it's good. The format is 15 episodes. Each episode is obviously an hour long. And it's shot in real time, so like 24. So like the first episode's the first hour of their shift. The second episode is the second hour of their shift as it goes through. And so far it's really entertaining. The setup for the show is a overcrowded ER in Pittsburgh. And there are 4 medical students coming in, and medical students / interns coming into the ER that day. And they're working with 3 established doctors, and they're just kind of like learning the ropes of everything. And it's pretty much just like an inner city ER, and like anything you can imagine happening coming in through the doors comes in through the doors. Each character is almost have positive vibes about each character of the show. But I mean, it comes out every Thursday, and I'm definitely going to be following this going forward.
So
It definitely got my attention.
The whole show's in real time?
Yeah.
You may have sold me on that. To answer your question on if this is a ER sequel or not, it is not. To the point where Michael Crichton's estate has sued the producers of this show for taking the idea they had for an ER reboot and sequel and sued them. So like there's some, they tried to do an ER thing with Noah Wiley, and then that fell through, and then they made the Pit instead. And Michael Crichton's people were like, you know what? No, because now we're not getting a cut of this. So they are not connected, but they all are. Yeah. They all wanted it to be at one point.
Yeah, because I mean, like there are so many people connected to the original show to this, and I knew about the lawsuit, but I didn't know enough that I was I wasn't gonna bring that up because I all 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 I know was that all I knew was that the original creator was suing, but the show was still airing. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's shot in real time, and it's got a few storylines already developing that, like, every time some patient comes in or some new thing comes up, I'm always like, oh my God, the worst thing's gonna happen. The worst thing's gonna happen. And then that's what just keeps me watching. Because like that's how medical dramas work. You always have like one or two, like miracle medical stories. You have one or two disasters, and then the rest are just like, mediocre outcomes for the patient. And that's trying to figure out in my mind, like, who's gonna die and who's gonna live is what kind of like sucks me into it. But the show is more than just that. Like there are some pretty compelling backstories for a few of the characters that even at the end of the second episode that I'm really interested to see how they evolve between each hour of each hour of each episode.
I think you might have sold me on this. I don't usually watch medical dramas aside from like the time I was really into House, but like I gotta know though, how Berg are these people? Like, do you have like at least one real Berg character?
I would say a handful of the patients are.
Uh,
Um, like you've got I mean, besides, some of the characters wearing like Pittsburgh sport team clothing,
mhm.
um, and stuff like that, you definitely have some of the people in the waiting room who are getting angry. Definitely have like have some of the Pittsburgh phrases going in the background you can hear.
Oh my God,
So
does
like, yeah.
because they're so like they're such
Um,
good like I love the Pittsburgh accent. I love like the Pittsburgh phrases. I love all of that. Like I just want a medical drama where they're like going down slippery to pants and that. Like that, like I need pants and that to show up at least once in this series, and like it is best series ever.
no,
I
I don't know, yeah.
I have one Pittsburgh related question. Like every time they show food in the show, or is there like French fries mixed in with it and coleslaw?
Oh, there better be.
Well, I mean, so far, one patient has asked for a sandwich, and the guy went over to the like food locker thing that's in the ER and grabbed a tuna ham sandwich thing to give to the guy. That's the only food so far that's been in it. Again, it's only
I
the
was
first two
I was
hours
really expecting
of
you.
their shift,
I was
so.
I was really expecting you to be like, yeah, the guy went to Permani Brothers and came back
Yeah,
with.
just going down to Permani's, gonna
Yeah,
pop on some fries on the sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yin's
yeah,
Yard Apes.
I know, and I'd be joking along with you guys, but I'm honestly like I'm not a big TV show person and this has got me. So
That's cool. I really like that. I really like that.
Um, Devin,
so
what did you watch
I
this week?
recommend.
What did I watch this week?
Yeah.
Nothing. I watched Back to the Future 2. And
Oh,
that's
hey.
it.
Let's talk about that.
Oh shoot. All right.
So next week is Devin's birthday. So because of his birthday, Devin got to pick whatever he wanted for the show this week. And then here we are talking about Back to the Future 2. Take it away, Devin.
What kind of introduction do you get Back to the Future 2? Right? It was, it was released in 1989, written and directed by Robert Zemeckis, also written by Bob Gale, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Leigh Thompson are in it. I mean, if you haven't seen Back to the Future 2 by now, just stop. I mean, you obviously continue to listen to us because we're charming and entertaining, but then go watch Back to the Future 2, damn it. It's such a good movie. I wanted to talk to you guys about this one for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
But like before we even get into the couple of reasons I want to talk about it, I just wanted to watch it. It's a cozy movie. I love this franchise. I love it to bits, and I love the opportunity to dive a little deeper into it than I would have in my normal life in researching it for the podcast. So I appreciate the opportunity for that. But like I just just vibes at me, right? tell me about your guys' history of Back to the Future. Where does this one sit in your ranking of your favorite movie in the franchise? Like, just go, and then I'll pick up the pieces later.
Ryan, you go first.
So the Back to the Future series was in very heavy rotation when I was a kid. I would say once or twice a week I was watching one of the three. Up until I was 13, the DeLorean was my favorite car. Um, and yeah, it was just always around, and it wasn't. And I would say probably in my late teens, early 20s, I just kind of stopped watching the movies just because I had burned through them so much in like the first 16, 17 years that like I was alive. That I haven't seen this movie all the like like sat down, put down the phone and watched it in probably since college.
Oh wow.
That I haven't seen this since. Like I've like the amount of time that's gone by since I've actually watched this. So that's
Uh,
my history and where I'm at with it at the moment.
nice. Alan, give me a quick
I
private history.
I remember watching this on, I think it was like Disney Channel would air them. Like one of the channels would air them, and I always saw it with like commercial breaks. But I remember the first VHS box set I bought for myself with like birthday money was the Back to the Future set that came out for the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, probably.
I think. Hold on, I have them here.
Do you have it?
I have 2 and 3. I don't know what happened to 1. But what year did this come out? This was 2002, so this would have been the 15th anniversary
Oh wow.
or something like that. I don't know. It's a weird year for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought the box set at Kmart and went home and watched it and was like watched the whole series the whole way through. And since then it's been like one of those films where it's like if I start like if I find 2 is on, I'm watching all of it, and then I'm watching 3.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like if it's 1, then I'm going to watch 2, and then I'm going to watch 3. Like I have to watch it. I have to watch them all because it's not just. We'll get into this later. It's one big story for me. Like it's all.
Oh, me too.
Even though it wasn't designed that way, it has become that. Like when we had Back to the Future Day back in 2015, I immediately bought tickets to go to a triple feature that showed all 3 of them. And ended up leaving early, so I only got to see the first one. But we'll talk more about Back to the Future Day later. So
Oh, we'll have to. Yeah.
yes,
I mean, it's the same for me. The films are so like. There's a word over here that I keep using. They're so Moorish, and all it means is you just want more of them. And like they're just that for me. Like I watched 2, and I was like, I want to watch 3 now, and I want to watch 1, and then I want to watch the musical again. Like I just like. I want to be around those characters. I want to be in that world. I just like it a lot. And I mean, this for me, like, this is like a tent pole of like who I am as a person. Just these movies. I love them. I love watching them. They're the first movie franchise to like legitimately blow my mind as a kid. Like I have very distinct memories of like just jaw on the floor every couple of seconds during Back to the Future 2 of like. Hold on, so Marty McFly was in the background of when Marty McFly was in the past, and I gotta watch the first movie again and see if I can see Marty in the background of Marty doing things. And like it blew my mind. It was so cool. And then the fact that like that's the first time that young Devon ever understood foreshadowing, when like you'd see something in Back to the Future 2 directly pay off in the third one. It's like, oh, it was like. And like I didn't know movies did that back then. So like there was a couple of like movie things that I didn't even know existed until these movies happened. So they're very formative for me. And like for that reason, like number 2, like I want to do this. This is important to me. We have to do Back to the Future trilogy rankings, right? For me, it goes 2, 1, 3. And like they're all great. Like it's like a 99, a 99, 98.9 and a 98.8. For me, basically. Like none of them is like substantially worse than the other, but if I had to rank them, that's my ranking. Now I think, and this is the reason I brought it up, I don't think that's a popular ranking. Everyone that I've talked to will not agree with me, and most people agree that this is the worst one. So, like, tell me where you are.
Okay, for me,
It's hard. It's a hard question.
so I'm gonna rank. I'm gonna say this. I think 2 is the better sequel. I think Back to
Okay.
the Future 2 is one of the best sequels of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because it was the first one to go back and revisit the first film, which we've seen done to death now, thanks to like Endgame
Yeah.
and the Flash. I think my rankings are 1, 3, 2.
Okay.
I think 3 is a better standalone film.
Okay. Okay.
And I can get into more detail about that later.
All right. Ryan, what are your rankings of this series?
I've been thinking about it since you asked. When I think Back to the Future, I get a pretty even mix of one-liners and scenes from both 1 and 2. So it'd pretty much just be a coin flip between the two of them, which one I like better. So I'm just gonna say 1, 2, 3.
Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally fair. Totally
yeah.
fair. All right, so I want to know then, and I think that's one of the reasons why this franchise is so hard to rank, because they are very much like a kind of continual story for me as well. They really, especially 2 and 3, they were filmed back to back. And one of the things that I didn't live through this, right? But Romana was talking about an experience her parents had in the theater, where in the theater, the end of Back to the Future 2 was the trailer for Back to the Future 3. And like, I guess audiences at the time were so impressed that like they were basically done filming it like by the time 2 came out, and they were like, "Oh, we're getting a new one soon, great!" And I guess that was like really an impressive thing. And I don't know like film history well enough to know when that's done or when that was done before, or like if this is one of the first movies to really film sequel kind of back to back like that. But it felt special, is like the reaction that I had got from her family. But tell me, do you guys see this as a single thing? If anyone knows the history of film like that, can you prove me wrong?
I'm looking at so the first example that came to my mind, Superman the movie and Superman 2 filmed at the same time.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's why you have the Donner cut. Like Superman, they started focusing on Superman 1 because they were over time and over budget, and that's why they fired Richard Donner and brought in Richard Lester. So that's why there's 2 versions of that movie. Other examples are the 3 Musketeers and the 4 Musketeers in '74.
Oh wow.
There's a bunch of examples here. Wild Wild Planet, War of the Planets.
Things I've never heard of.
Yeah, a bunch of things you've never heard of.
It's kind of cool then.
But yeah, Superman's the big one. There's a bunch of examples since Back to the Future
Sure.
that have done this. Mainly Lord of the Rings,
It's the big one.
The Matrix, Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War did that too.
Oh yeah, sure they did.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. But Alan, tell me more about this being a single story for you.
Like all 3 films?
Yeah.
I think just because like 1 and 3 is definitely stand out on their own because they are the most unique. I don't think you can't go into 2 not having seen 1 because it plays so fast after Back to the Future 1. Like it just, your kids, Marty, we got to do something about your kids. Like, and then right into Back to the Future 2. And then right up until the end, he's like, there's only one man who can help me. Like,
yeah,
it relies so much on the first one. You have to watch it because it's so breakneck speed.
Mm-hmm.
Where like Back to the Future 3, it like pauses, like you get that like moment with Howdy Doody time at the mansion, Like like they actually rest for a little bit, and then say,
Mhm.
okay, now we're gonna pick up this story. So it kind of stands on its own, but it's still like if you watch all three back to back, you're not. It's going to be seamless. Like you
Yeah.
can pick up 1 and 3 on their own at any point, but you have to watch. You have to have seen 1 to appreciate 2. I think 3, you could film wise, story wise, I think is a stronger
Yep.
story on its own and doesn't
Mhm.
rely on the other ones because it's such a different time and place and not something we've seen before in this story. And it changes the dynamic up from focusing on Marty to focusing on Doc.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. Do you have that same thing, Ryan?
Uh, when it comes to when I was younger, I do remember going from 1 to 2 a lot, simply because of the way that it ends. Like 2 opens up seamlessly uh, into the ending of the first one,
Mhm.
which I haven't seen any of them in so long that when I watched this one, it was kind of a shock because I forgot about that, to be honest, about how it like opened
Yeah.
with him like running his hand over the truck and wanting to go. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is the ending of the first one. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was kind of like, okay, I got to get recentered here and, watch the rest of it fine. Um, the third one, I don't remember watching as much. Um, and I think when I was a kid, it focusing more on Doc Brown is something that I really wasn't that interested in, I think, as to
Sure.
why that was the case. And I think that the third one and Indian in the Cupboard contributed to me when I was younger not really liking the whole Western cowboy storyline thing.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
So, um, but I mean, again, the third one though does stand more on its own compared to the first two as like its own like enclosed story.
Yeah.
Um, I always liked the train at the end of the third one. I remember for a few years I wanted to I bugged my mom because in the very early 90s they had because back when buying a Christmas train to go around your Christmas tree was still a big thing, and a lot of people did that. They would sell themed ones from like books and movies and TV shows and stuff, and they had the time traveling train from the end of the third one as a Christmas tree train that you could put around your tree. And I remember bugging my parents for that for like the 2 years that they had it in stores.
So
Um,
cool.
but yeah.
Oh, I'm so incredibly jealous of that. That is incredible. So I gotta know, like Ryan, what was it like watching this movie then for the first time in years? Like actually sitting down, phone off, watching it.
Recognizing that for Rick and Morty's ruined these movies for me, I think at this point. Because every time Doc Brown would like look for Marty, just his energy level and everything, I was just having flashes back to like Rick and Morty. And it's not that I'm a Rick and Morty fan. I'm not even like a real big fan of the show. I've only seen it like once all the way through. Um, but that's really all I could think of whenever the Doc would be like, Marty! And
you, you know what's funny? Like I've watched Rick and Morty. I didn't think of that once when I was watching this last night.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah.
But
Like
it
I
must have
think
came up like 10 times for me. It must have came up like
Have you seen the original? So pre Rick and Morty being Rick and Morty, it was called like Doc and Morty or like Doc and yeah, I think it
yeah.
was called Doc and Morty. And they have like it's on like YouTube. It's Doc Brown and Marty McFly in Rick and Morty style, being incredibly crude. And that
Yeah.
was like the pilot for it. If either of you've seen that.
Yeah. It's it and I have. And so but I didn't even think of that, which is the funny thing. Like that never crossed my mind. It was just like that aspect of it, and then realizing too that I think one of the reasons why I haven't really gone back to this movie, even though I've been given the opportunity to do it plenty of times, is because I remembered this movie verbatim for about 80 to 85% of it.
That's incredible.
Like as things were going, like besides forgetting about the way the movie opened with, like it being the very end of the first one. From that point on until Jennifer gets dropped off at their house in the future, I forgot about the parents coming in. But I remembered the dinner and the kids being on their like devices from their like glasses. And then I forgot how Marty eventually got away from 1950s Biff in the tunnel. Other than that, I had to I was like, oh, okay, this, and then that, and then yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I saw the movie so much as a kid that like I can't really quote the movie verbatim, but like scene to scene, it was like, okay, well then this is gonna happen. Oh, okay, and then that was going to happen. And as a kid, I remember the cops' uniforms being a lot more, for lack of a better term, sexy than what they were this time. I don't know how else to explain it. For some reason, I had it in my head that they had like almost borderline fifth, like the Fifth Element stewardess vibes. But they didn't. They were like decent conservative, like cop
It took me
uniforms.
a second to remember there were even cops in this movie. I had to Google them. Yeah, I mean, they're V-necks. They're certainly V-necks. I can see it.
But
I can see it.
But definitely not what I remember as like a teenager.
Ryan's
like for some reason, I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, oh yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, they put her on the dock surrounded by 1980s laser discs and like packs, and he says that that, oh yeah, she's just gonna be here and we'll come back and get her. And I'm like, no, cops are gonna pick her up. Cops, like scantily clad female cops are gonna come by and pick her up. And then the scene happens, and I'm like, this is not what I remember.
All right, so I gotta ask, is there a part of this franchise that you guys love the most, like that brings you back to it? For me, I think this appreciation came pretty late in life. Is 100% Tom Wilson, the guy that plays Biff and Griff and Mad Dog Tannen. And why is he not a famous actor? He's so good. Like
I think he's admitted to this. Like he does a whole. Have you ever heard his song "Stop Asking Me the Question"?
No.
He does a whole song about like what people come up to him and say, being like, "Can you call my friend and call him a butthead?" Like I think it's just that he got typecast. I've seen him in other stuff. He was on Legends of Tomorrow for a season.
Oh no way!
He was really good in that. I think that's mostly what it is. But he is so good in these, and I also like. Yeah, I don't know. Like, even Leah Thompson isn't as big as you think she would be after these 3 films.
No, because this was what, Howard the Duck after this?
I think that was before the sequels, at least.
Because Leah Thompson's so good. What do you like about this franchise, Alan?
The music.
Yeah, so good.
I mean, right here.
That's so cool.
Like the first one. I almost said part 1. I mean, Huey Lewis. And Huey Lewis.
What's your favorite piece?
Power of Love from the soundtrack. Yeah, but I will say, if I'm ever, you guys know how I am with movie scores. If I'm ever driving down the highway and the theme to Back to the Future comes on, I'm going to 88 miles per hour.
You gotta push it. You gotta do it, man.
Um, it's dangerous. Like I can't be driving through town listening to Alan Silvestri's Back to the Future score. But even the score in the third one, like the Western theme, like that's just
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, so much fun, and that's what the music is in the trailer for 3 at the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I think's interesting about? Yeah, for me it's the music. It's the music and it's the dialogue, and it's so much fun.
I love it. Ryan, what do you like about it?
The humor.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've got like the actors playing themselves throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I like. But yeah, but it's mainly the humor of it. Um, you can only watch a movie because of a single car so much. Like that's not something that's going to be like a draw all the time. Um, that and it's just they're just well-made movies. There are just some things that stood out to me watching it this time after so many years. And my like adult logicness prevented me from just enjoying some of the scenes like I
Gotta
used to
tell
be
me
able
now.
to.
I gotta know.
So I know it's the 1950s. So it's 1955 or 58.
Yeah.
55.
55. Okay. Um the guy from I forget the name of the company now that hands him the letter. It's not
Western
the Postal
Union.
Service.
Western Union.
Western Union, thank you. The Western Union guy shows up and hands him a letter that's 70 years old. And it is pouring. And when he hands him the letter, it's in a decent, like a decent covered, like envelope thing. And Marty just opens it up and starts reading it. And it is pouring on a 70-year-old piece of paper. He would have not been able to get more than 3 sentences of that letter before it would have disintegrated in his hands.
It would have turned to ash.
And there are just moments like, yeah, and like there are just little moments like that through the movie that, like I'd get annoyed. I'm like, it's Back to the Future. It's, like it's Back to the Future. It's not, like it's not supposed to be some, some accurate scientific movie. It's just, like a lighthearted time travel comedy thing. Like it's fun. Like don't get too wrapped up in those little things. But yeah, like that moment hit and I'm just like, get it under the umbrella. Get it under the umbrella. And then cuz it was like, why aren't you covering it? Like this thing is like a legit artifact from like the Old West and you're just holding it in the middle of a monsoon.
And Western Union guy's unconcerned. He's like, I've done my job.
Yeah, like that whole thing. Yeah, but like moments, like little moments like that, but then at the same time, I loved how accurately that they got tech for 2015. Like basically a smart TV.
Yeah.
The kids have their own personal like devices, like they're not handheld, they're, glasses. I just did they really think that we'd have that many fax machines?
I love that. I talked about that last night to Ramon when we were watching it because I'm like, of all the technology, they like showed that laser discs were going to be out of style, but they're like, the fax machine is here to stay, baby. Like they went all on it,
all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like texting and email, only a little bit more analog.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right.
I think the thing that's most surprising me for me technology wise is that like in 2015 they're like, yeah, USA Today is still gonna be a thing, like
right. Well, so hold on. I learned this researching for the podcast, and this is one of the gems of why I love doing this and why I picked this. Do you guys know the in-universe reason why 2015 in the movie didn't pan out in real life.
I read about this, but I want you to tell
Mhm.
me anyway.
Ryan, do you know this?
Can you make that statement again?
Yeah, so there is now officially
Yeah.
an in-universe canon to Back to the Future reason why
Okay.
there are no hoverboards in our version of 2015. Why there are no Mr. Fusions or flying cars.
So so or Black and Decker rehydrators.
Exactly.
Yeah, so people really need to come up with reasons why our 2015 didn't line up with the movie's 2015. Like,
Oh,
people
yeah.
really need a
No,
reason
no.
for that.
Doc,
Writers Back to the
Doc,
Future did.
yeah, Doc Brown has a reason for it. Like,
Yeah. All right, so
The actors
for,
come out with this.
no, like
no.
the franchise has. So there is
Oh
a
God.
piece
Okay.
of Back to the Future, a short movie that was released in 2015 on the Blu-ray for the 30th anniversary of this movie. It's called Doc Brown. It's called Back to the Future: Doc Brown Saves the World. This is a legitimate piece of Back to the Future that I've never seen, and I learned about it 5 minutes before the podcast went live. Really mad I haven't seen it now, and that's what I'm going to do with my night tonight instead of sleep. Thank you both. Anyway, in the movie, Doc tapes a video message explaining that he traveled to the 2040s in his time in a rebuilt DeLorean. I don't know why not the time train, doesn't matter. And he discovered that inventions like the hoverboard and dehydrated food caused people to become massively overweight. And what's even worse is that there was a glitch in the Mr. Fusions and caused massive nuclear fallout. So Doc Brown goes with the rebuilt DeLorean back in time and prevents those dangerous devices from being built. So 2015 now looks like the timeline that we know and not the timeline in the movie.
not
I think he still failed. I think he still failed.
well, but think of it this way: he also prevented prevented Jaws 5 through 12 from going into production.
That too.
What that tells me is that he sacrificed a franchise that was good enough to get to 12, which means Jaws 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the other ones were actually good. And I'm mad about that.
In that universe, that was Michael Caine's real jumping off point.
I would have taken the hoverboards and the nuclear fusion and being obese if I could have seen decent Jaws sequels.
That's a good take on that. I really like that. So there's a lot said about the future tech that like we're missing, and I'm sad there isn't hoverboards. But I want to take a weird approach to this question because I have a very specific answer, and I wonder if you guys have one too. What tech from the Back to the Future, like their version of 2015, would just be horrific if it was a real life thing?
The jackets.
Tell me about the jackets. Why would that be horrific?
Okay, so one, it's supposed to be like, the jackets are supposed to be like one size fits all. So like that specific style, like that specific brand or whatever coat that he was wearing, like all it did was make the sleeve shorter. It didn't it didn't shrink around the waist or around the shoulders. Like he still looked like he was wearing a coat that was, 2 sizes too big for him. It just, the sleeves shortened up, and then he had weird, like, in like the Victorian era, they wore like the lacy collars around the neck. Like that's what the like accordion parts of the sleeves in his jacket like looked like almost like a modern version of that. And then like the thing talks when like to dry you off. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't want strangers around me knowing that I have to be dried for some random reason, like on a subway. Because like if I'm on a subway and I'm drinking something and I accidentally spill something on my shirt and then I hit it to like dry myself, the person next to me who didn't see me spill something on myself doesn't know why I need to dry off in the middle of the subway. I don't want to have that type of embarrassment. So it's just it's purpose does not meet function with that jacket.
I love the idea though of that, and I didn't think about it. Where like you're on a first date it's going really well. You're like leaning in for that kiss and a bit nervous, and your jacket just has the slightest bit of pit sweat. And as you're leaning in, you hear your jacket is now drying.
Yeah, and
I love it.
And then of course it has enough internal pressure that it makes his hair like go up almost like a hair dryer. So that's gonna make other people standing around you, specifically in like the subway model I was talking about, on the bus, on a busy street, it's gonna cause other people around you to like get that draft from you. So any, smell, like we were all teenagers, we all woke up in the morning late for school and threw on a hoodie and ran to school without taking a shower. Could you imagine if one of those hoodies had like a self-drying thing and you're standing in the middle of a crowded hallway and all of a sudden, like you said, Devon, like it detects the smallest amount of moisture in your pit and then it dries yourself and it pushes all that stink air out at the top and just wafts the entire hallway?
Okay.
No.
So we're assuming that these jackets are very sensitive to just sweat. He falls in the lake. Like they're I don't think it's gonna go that hard for a little bit of BO, guys.
Oh no. It's from the future. It should, or else it's not worth it.
Okay. Devon, what was your question? Because I forget now.
What future tech in this movie would just be horrific if it was in real life?
Flying cars.
Tell me, because that's the one I want. I want that.
No, you don't.
Have you been on the roads with people? Where we're going, people can't even handle roads, let alone don't need them. Like, it's so bad out there. Like, just knowing what you have to do to get a pilot's license to fly a drone commercially, the only solace I could take in flying cars is there'd be a limited amount of people who would be doing it because you have to follow so many rules because the skies are so regulated just for, like, a little itty-bitty drone. Like, you have to fly cars around, like, it's going to be even worse. So, if everyone can do it, it's going to be a nightmare. The only way it would work is if you regulate it.
That's totally fair.
Automation.
Yeah.
If it was automated. Like, everyone was on an autopilot.
No, what's the point of that? Like, no, I want to be able to, if I'm in a flying car, I want to be able to put on, like, the Star Wars score from, like, the X-Wing battle. And be able to fly to that. Yes. Like, I don't want it on autopilot. But I want to try.
I want the regulation for it. I'm telling you, that's where it's going to go. You want the regulation.
I thought the funny thing was, like, I think the prices are supposed to be, like, outrageously inflated on there. Yeah. But, like, some of them I was like, it's reasonable. I mean, like, $50 for a Coke is very funny. But, like, $39.99 and 99 cents to take a car and make it fly. Sure.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds totally about right.
Yeah, take my 40,000 and make my, I don't know, old Jeep now fly. That's fine.
Yeah.
Mine now suddenly seems way too serious. The alpha wave inhibitor that Doc Brown uses to just beat. Now you're asleep. No thanks. Don't want a world where that's okay.
I have a feeling that was like. I always took that as one of his inventions.
Oh, not that he like.
I've always taken that as one of his own inventions because reason being, they do not show it for sale anywhere in the movie. They don't show it like a billboard for it. They don't show a commercial for it. So like, if they would have had like a poster or like a magazine ad, then totally I would have thought that.
Okay.
But,
so following that train of logic can be even worse. Like, did Doc Brown invent that for this mission, or did he just invent that for himself?
Or is he like, I just need to put people's
or does he invent? No, this is even worse. I don't want to say it.
No more.
Does he invent it because he knows he's going to destroy the time machine? And he's going to he's going to be studying the next great mystery of the world, women. Like,
it's fair. I both options are horrific. Both options are horrific. Enough said about that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Biff Tannen.
Yeah, I forgot how like genuinely rapey he was in the 50s. He's awful.
Oh, he's not great in the 80s either.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Or the 2015s, he's not great either.
No.
Okay, so I know we're getting towards the end. I gotta know favorite lines in this movie because there's so many. I have a new favorite line while you guys are thinking of it. It is now officially, hey, did you just take that guy's wallet? I think you just took that guy's wallet. Did he just take that guy's wallet? Like this guy.
I think he took that
really
guy's wallet. Yeah.
So the thing I love the most about him isn't just that he's Wesley Mann and he's a very young Wesley Mann. The thing that I like the most about it is this character has a whole ass backstory because that character's name is Lester. I don't know if you guys knew that, but there's also an in-universe reason why he doesn't know who Biff is because apparently Biff's like the big guy around campus. So Leslie is actually from a different school other than Hill Valley and is being brought to the dance by a date that he's dating from Hill Valley. So like I love it. There's layers to this onion, guys. I love me some Lester.
There's a whole comic book series that came out around 2015 that I have. Like I subscribed at my comic book store and bought these every month, and I've never read them, but I got them all.
What are they?
They're like little side stories. There's probably one about him in there, but they're written by Bob Gale, who did Back to the Future.
Cool.
I forgot I have those. I have to dig those out. But yeah, they were like IDW comics. Ryan, do you have your line?
Not yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I can provide more. There's so many good ones.
There's so many. That's the problem.
The one that sticks out in my mind is I always love the line delivery. Those boys don't work on water. Like,
right. Well, it's never the line itself. It's just the insane over the top delivery of a lot of these lines. They're so good. Or there's obviously the classic ooh la la.
It's not necessarily a line, it's an interaction.
Okay.
It's when the kids are disappointed with the video game. Like, oh, you use your hands? It's baby toy.
Yeah.
It's a baby toy. And then Marty's just like, a baby toy? Because, I mean, legit, that's how, like, our goddaughter, there's been, the last few times she's come up, I'll because she likes playing video games, I'll try to get on, I'll try to bring up like an older 2-player game I think is still going to be fun. And it just never works out.
Just falls
like,
flat.
We probably do like half a level, and I can already tell that she's not interested. And I'm like, okay, we'll go back to Fortnite. We'll go back to.
Side note: we all caught that was young Elijah Wood, right?
yes.
That man has not aged. He looks like that now.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just needed to make sure we all knew that.
It's the Ring.
It's the Ring. It is. Man.
So there's something that we haven't talked about with this one, and that's the absence of George McFly.
Oh, he's there.
He's there, and he like this film changed a lot of things in Hollywood. Recasting is one of them. Using the Crispin Glover's likeness for George McFly in the future caused a lot of issues and changed the way the laws are written when it comes to likenesses in acting. But there's something else about this movie that I wanted to touch base on quick, because watching it this time, I was really fascinated by it. And it's the technology that they built to do 3 Michael J. Foxes in the frame at once, because you have him playing his son, his daughter, and future Marty McFly in the kitchen. The way they did that was they had to glue everything down on the set. Nothing could move. Like, everything had to be in the exact same spot. Because they had the camera locked down, but also on, like, the camera moves. Like, the camera does move in those shots. So everything was robotic and synchronized to the T. So that every time they did that, everything lined up perfectly. So you could have Leah Thompson walk from one side of the frame to the other, and it works when you have all three of them there because they could go in and composite the three of them together in those shots. Like it's very,
so cool.
like it's very complicated. Like you guys remember when we did the Bill and Ted bit, how tricky that was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was with a lockdown camera. Like they're moving the camera, and that's like new technology that they didn't have. Like that's technology that they use now, but it was invented for this movie.
That's so cool. I didn't know they invented it for the movie.
Yeah.
That makes this so much more impressive for me.
Yeah. I think that's all I have.
Man, I love this movie. That's it. I'm glad we watched it. Thanks for indulging me, guys. That's all I wanted. It's good. It's a good week.
I guess we're not going to talk much about Back to the Future 3.
Well, let's do it.
But,
just quick. One of my favorite things about the movie, especially knowing what 3 is all of the foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
I love the scene where you see like him with that boilerplate thing, or we see Clint Eastwood do that. I love the Clint Eastwood thing at all. I love that they mention the Uncle Jailbird, and you get to see him as a baby in a crib. Like there's enough.
That's
like Jailbird Joey.
In the first one.
Yeah, well, they mentioned him too in this one.
Yeah,
they mentioned him briefly, and then when they meet him in 3, he's like, "Better get used to those bars, kid," which like rude.
That's the first one where he says that.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, because it's his mom's brother.
Oh, it is.
It's his great grandfather that he meets in the Old West.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
Seamus McFly.
Yeah. Seamus.
His great grandfather.
Yeah.
I love it. But no, I mean, I like 3 a lot. I mean, it's got some of my favorite lines too. Like I will, if I ever have to make morning plans, the phrase "I do my killing before breakfast" happens all the time. Like the Old West doesn't appeal to me that much either, but man, do I like that movie.
It's a great sci-fi Western, which there aren't many of those. I can only think of one other one, and it's Cowboys and Aliens, and that was not great.
No. But do I know what the number one way to kill a sci-fi movie is?
What?
Put it in the Old West.
Well, hold on. Like, are we avoiding Westworld? Did you guys not watch any of that?
I watched Westworld, the original movie, when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it because that was part of the run through my dad did for a few years when he had me watch Logan's Run, Space Odyssey, Westworld, like the 70s sci-fi movies that came out before Star Wars.
Yeah.
Westworld, like the series, was stronger when it was just Westworld. When they started going outside of Westworld, the sci-fi got so ridiculous and so hard to follow that I was like, I don't care. Even HBO was like, you know what? We're not going to finish the series. We're just going to cancel it now because we don't know what's going on. So
I never made it outside of the Westworld bit. I just liked the Westworld bit.
Yeah. And ZZ Top.
That's
like
ZZ Top's great. I love ZZ Top. I love yeah.
All right.
It's all good. It's a good movie.
All right. So Devon got to pick a random movie that he just wanted to watch for the podcast for his birthday. My birthday is before Devon's, but next week is my pick. So it's my turn. Ryan knows what my pick is. Devon, we're going to play a game of what movie is Alan going to make you watch next week?
Oh, it's Independence Day.
No.
It's Mrs. Doubtfire. No, we did Mrs. Doubtfire.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah.
We talked about it last week.
Oh, come on now. It's Power Rangers. What do you like? It's not Lord of the Rings. It's nope. Don't know. I have the memory of a goldfish.
I got another question for you, Devon.
Okay.
Devon, what killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice Age.
The Ice Age. We're doing Batman and Robin.
Oh shit! Oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah, we're doing Batman and Robin next week because we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and maybe I'll do it from my from the Batcave.
Oh, that's cool. You better.
I probably won't. It's a lot of moving stuff around. But yeah, next week we're going to be talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Batman and Robin because for some reason he gets top billing. So join us next week when we talk about that. Same bat time, same bat channel. Yeah. Follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen to You Have to Watch This Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, for You Have to Watch This Podcast. Wait. I'm Doc Brown! For You Have to Watch This Podcast.
I'm Devon.
And you're not sending me to the cooler. All next week. It's just his voice, the whole podcast.
It better be. Do not tease me like this.